Become a United States citizen. Why not become a United States citizen? Now is the time to become a United States citizen. My name is Patrick Valdez of the Valdez Law Firm, and I'm here to describe and explain to you how to become a United States citizen. When you become a U.S. citizen, you have the right to vote in the United States in any federal or local election. When you become a U.S. citizen, you can live outside the United States for as long as you want, and you always have the right to return to the United States to live. When you become a U.S. citizen, you have a right to a pension once you're of age to retire that's provided by our government. When you become a U.S. citizen, if you have contact with the police, you don't have to worry about the immigration consequences. When you become a U.S. citizen, you don't have to worry about renewing your residency. You are here for the rest of your life and you carry a U.S. passport. The first requirement of becoming a United States citizen is you have to be a U.S. resident. When you submit an application for citizenship, your prior application for U.S. residency is going to be reviewed by an immigration officer. So it's very important that the information that you put in your U.S. residency application is consistent with the information that you're going to put in your application for U.S. citizenship. That application should be reviewed. It's important that when you applied for your residency that you disclosed your immigration history, you disclosed any contact with the police, you outlined all of your marriages in your life, all of your children, any time that you've entered the country, legally or illegally. And it's important that the decision that was made by the U.S. government in your application for permanent residency was factually and legally correct. Once you've met that threshold, you can move on to your application for U.S. citizenship. So what's required to become a U.S. citizen? 1, you had to have been a legal resident for 5 years. 2, you have to show good moral character for 5 years. 3, you have to speak the English language. You have to pass a civics exam. And you have to complete your interview in the English language. You have to read it, you have to write the language, and you have to speak it. Now, there are certain exceptions to these rules. There are certain exceptions to these rules, and they can be beneficial and make it easier, or there are ones that maybe you need some guidance to take advantage of, okay? So in terms of your English requirement, if you've been a legal permanent resident for 20 years and you're over the age of 50, you can take the exam and complete the interview in your native language. If you have been a legal permanent resident for 15 years and you are 55 years or older, you don't have to take the exam in English. You can take the exam and go through the interview in your native language. Easy. Also, the element of good moral character. Good moral character is evaluated not only in terms of the letter of the law, but also as a matter of discretion. If you have been arrested by the police, it's important that you contact an attorney to see whether or not the contact that you had with the police may have immigration consequences when you're applying for your citizenship. In other words, you can be applying for U.S. citizenship, and in reality, you're putting your residency in jeopardy. So if you've had contact with the police, you want to become a U.S. citizen, you may be able to, but it's important that your criminal history is evaluated by a licensed attorney. Okay? Now, there are certain crimes that allow you to show good moral character even though you've had these problems, and certain crimes that make it difficult. Good moral character also is a matter of discretion. So what other things weigh into good moral character? Are you filing your taxes correctly? Right? Do you owe a debt to the Internal Revenue Service? Do you pay child support to a child that is living outside of your home or even outside of the country? Are you making those payments timely over the past 5 years? Those questions will be asked. Now, say you're married to a United States citizen and that person has been a citizen for 3 years. You don't have to worry about the 5-year time frame to show good moral character. That time frame is reduced to 3 years, and that can help you because it's a smaller window. All the things that are considered in the context of good moral character are considered within the 3-year window instead of the 5-year window. And that can make it a little bit easier to get the application approved. Now, in terms of your English literacy, if you can write a simple sentence and communicate your thoughts in the English language, chances are you'll be able to pass the exam. What I recommend to my clients who are concerned about their ability to speak English during this process, start watching the news in English. Journalists on television communicate in a way that is easy to understand, and they use the language in a very precise way. It's a very easy way to train your ear to hear the language and understand it well enough to get through the exam. Normally the process takes about 9 months from the time you submit your application to the time you have your interview. And that's an appreciable amount of time to start using the English language more regularly, watch television in the English language, and practice your ability to communicate in English. So take the time to do that. Also bear in mind that you have two chances to pass your exam in the English language. If the officer thinks that you don't quite know English well enough, you'll be given another opportunity to come back and pass the exam. Now, you have an exam that you have to pass. That exam is finite to 100 questions to study. Your exam will have 10 questions, and if you answer 6 correctly, you've passed the exam. If you have a language exemption, you'll be able to take the exam in your native language. Otherwise, you'll be taking it in the English language. It's pretty straightforward. There are no surprises. At the Valdez Law Firm, we have a list of the questions that you're going to need to study. And if you've been a legal permanent resident for 15 years, and if you are 65 years or older, and you've been a legal permanent resident for 15 years, the list of questions you have to study has only 20 questions. So it's much easier to prepare. There's such a thing as a medical exemption in the naturalization process. So if you have a disease or an affliction that impacts your memory or your ability to learn new things, if you go to the doctor and the doctor can identify that disease or affliction and describe how it impacts your memory and your ability to learn new things, you may get an exemption from having to take the exam or to meet the literacy requirements. We can help you with that process as well. If you have any questions or concerns about becoming a U.S. citizen, or if you want to become a U.S. citizen, if you would like to speak to me, contact our offices directly.